Thank you for joining us today on the Thrive, Believe, Achieve podcast. I'm your host, Montel Fleming, and I'm excited today to have as a guest Mrs. Kerrian Gordon-Fleming. Kerrian is the Senior Vice President and Head of Financial Crime Compliance, BSA, AML, OFAC, and Fraud. And I'm delightful to have you here today, Ms. Gordon-Fleming, to dive right into today's conversation. So thank you for joining the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
My pleasure. So let's get started. Part of why I wanted to have you as a guest, and full disclosure, this is also my wife, so
No pressure.
sphere of influence is very important, and I think it's important to also utilize the people that's in your sphere of influence. And my wife and I have a lot of conversations off camera about a lot of different things, topics, but one of them is empowering women in business, and the other is just about leaning into your person, who you are. So I couldn't think of nobody that I want to have more as a guest on my podcast than my wife and business partner as well, to talk about all things family, faith, business, and whatever we decide to dive into. So first question I have for you today, Ms. Gordon-Fleming, is that you are a very successful compliance executive in the finance industry. Well, let's talk about how you got into the industry. You mind sharing with the audience?
How I got into the industry was purely in regards to what I'm doing now was, I would say, an unintentional accident. I think that's probably the best way of explaining it. I've been in finance from the start. That was my study when I was in college, and I dove right into it. I got an internship in a bank, and worked with some brokers, and then just getting to where I am today in regards to specifically BSA AML. One of the departments that I was in at said bank was shutting down, and they were, I won't say shutting down, they were moving it to a whole different location. I didn't want to go to that location. And so my manager at the time, who was the director of compliance, said to me, why don't you try AML? I think it would really be good for you. You would be starting from the bottom, but I think that it's something that would pique your interest. I went ahead and interviewed, and I got accepted. I was accepted for that position, and that's how it started. It wasn't easy at first. It was very hard. It was difficult for me to understand. And I had given myself a specific time frame, like, if I don't understand it within 6 months, I don't think this is for me. But I kind of stuck into it. I dove into it. I really dig deep and started to understand and kind of said, okay, I like this. I like where this is going. I'm going to stick with it. And I did.
Okay, that's awesome. Seems like a lot of persistence on your part to go after what you wanted to do and how you wanted to go about your career and your path in your career. So my next question would be, how important is it for women in business to be supported by each other and also to have that support also by your counterparts, your male counterparts?
I think supporting women in business is very important. I think the lack of women in business speaks for itself. The lack of women of color in business speaks for itself. You could look at the numbers. They're not high at all. And I think having the support between women and the camaraderie is very important, because we all kind of need to stick together, and we need to understand that we're fighting against a system that never wanted us to be here in the first place, right? Women's rights is a concept that's pretty new if you really look at the dates. It's not something that just happened or has happened since the turn of time, unfortunately. So women in business, we all need to stick together. We all need to empower each other and know that this is a sisterhood. The fact to have male counterparts who are also helping in this fight is also very important. You want males to be along in the fight of sisterhood. Yes, they have been there since the turn of time, and you want them to understand, look, we're here to stay, help us, guide us, be there for us. I mean, I think both male and females, we're here, we're working together. I think it's just important to have them fight and understand that women in leadership in business is important, period, end of story. Something that I'm teaching my boys today, understanding that women in business, understand, this is something that's here to stay, and understanding that women have a say just as right as anybody else, and we should be heard.
Okay.
So bringing women to the table is a very important concept, and if men are there to ease that, then let them be there. I think that's important, that they should understand that they have a part to play in this as well.
Now, I'm throwing a question in there just because I listened to something you said, and I kind of want to lean into it a little bit in this conversation. And can we talk about the pay discrepancy or disparity between women and men in business? Because I even read something today where it talked about the average woman CEO, the top ones around making like 22%. They're pretty much equal on par to what their male counterparts are by less than maybe a couple $100,000, by $13.4 to $13.6 million is what the CEO discrepancy between women CEOs versus male. And then also in regarding to executives like yourself and other people, how that pay disparity and stuff is also being prevalent. And so what can be done to change that narrative? Because I think women are very much the catalyst for change in all things business. So how do we get that, on the executive level, as well as seeing what's going on in the CEO changes, C-suite?
Fight. I mean, and I don't mean that in the literal sense. I mean, I think that's important. If you see something, say something. If you know that you're not getting paid what your male counterpart is getting paid, speak up. I think that's very important to definitely, when you're speaking up, have facts, have figures, understand that, look, I know I'm not getting paid what my male counterpart is getting paid, and that should be said, and that should be known, and they should know that you know. So I think just speaking up, fighting for yourself, but at the same time fighting for others. If you're a woman who is in a power position and you're bringing somebody along and you know they're not going to be paid what everybody else is going to be paid or what they should be getting paid, say something. Right. Let that be known. Look, HR, I know that. Why are you paying this person this little amount when they're worth this? Or they should be getting paid what this other person is getting paid. Say something. Right. You have the power to make that change. Make the change. Bring it to the table. Bring your facts. Bring your figures. I think that's very important, and sometimes that's where it starts. It might not always start with you. It might start with you looking at somebody else, knowing that you're bringing this person along or bringing this person in your group or promoting that person. Say something right then and there. Change the narrative. Change their narrative. Understand that when you're promoting somebody, or when you know that, hey, you're hiring somebody and they're not going to be paid what another person is being paid, say something right then and there. I think that's only fair. That at that point in time, it's only fair.
Okay, that's awesome. I appreciate you sharing that, because I think that's important for others to hear that in their journey of success, in order to build the structure not only for yourself, but also for the next person up, next man and next woman up, so to speak. So with that, also, I know the challenge that everybody's been going through the last 15 plus months. I wanted to delve into one part of this question in regards to how COVID-19 has impacted the way that you manage your team. Because obviously you're working remotely, your team, your bank entirely is working remotely, with some eventual returns back to the office. But how's that changed the way that you manage your team from a structure of being in the office versus being out of the office every day?
I think it's hard, definitely, when you go from seeing people's faces and now you're kind of working remotely. Seeing their face is still important. I still like to have meetings face to face, especially if it's really important. I try to tell people to turn on their cameras. And I also try to show my face, right? Because I'm still a leader in a sense, and I think sometimes it's unfair when I'm saying, okay, I need you to show your camera, but I'm not, turn on your camera, but I'm not turning mine on. I think that's really important, and I think just keeping up with that same energy. Try to make sure you're speaking with people on your team. If you feel like in their voice they're having a bad day, still talk to them, have one-on-ones, still make sure that they know they're important and you are still here to hear them, to listen to them, to understand whatever they're going through. Just because you don't see them doesn't mean you don't care. And I think that needs to also, be something that's in the forefront. and I always tell my team, mental health is important. I need to know that you're here with me mentally. I can't see you, but I need to know that. I need to hear it in your voice. If I hear something that doesn't sound like the usual, I will call them, I will text them, I will communicate with them, because I still feel that's important. Because if I was in the office, I would come to them if I see them, they were in distress or something's going on, I'm gonna go to their desk and say something. I think you should still have the concept of their people. They have a lot of changes going on. We're in COVID. They haven't seen their family. They're dealing with their kids. All of those things definitely are having an impact on everybody, and I think we should still be in communication, constant communication.
Okay, awesome. Well, let's also talk about, and I appreciate you sharing that, but let's also talk about lessons learned from struggles or adversities you faced in life or even in business. You can caveat either one or the other, or pivot depending on how you want to, how much you want to share. But just talk about those impacts of those adversities and challenges and struggles, and how it's impacted the woman and the businesswoman you become.
For me, I mean, struggles are important to go through in life. I think they build character.
Mm-hmm.
I've been through a lot of struggles, a lot of adversities. Even in the position that I am today, you're constantly being questioned. People don't expect a black woman to walk in.
Right.
My name really throws people off. So even when I go to appointments or show up, a lot of times if I stand up, they're looking like, oh, okay, it's she's black, my bad.
Right.
So I just know that life is full of adversities. Life is full of struggles, and for me, those things really build character and really help me be resilient in my career, but in life. So I'm okay with that, and I know that whatever I've been through in the past has helped me and has helped me mold my future, has
Mm-hmm.
helped me build my future even more, because you know what it's like to be through some things that maybe other people haven't been through.
Right.
Just also, it's just something that helps me in regards to leading my team, in regards to business, in regards to my life, in regards to every aspect of things that I've been through with my husband, with my children. So a lot of times I always have that in the background of, yeah, I've been through some things, so who hasn't?
Right.
But that's just helped me become a better person.
Okay, so let's talk about how do you balance. People always talk about work balance and work-life balance, right? So how do you balance being obviously a devoted wife, a business person, obviously, but then also being a mother of 3 kids?
Balance is a joke. When people say that, I mean, there is no work-life balance, and somebody said to me the other day, there is no work-life balance, because right now what did he say? I live at work, because
Right.
now we're all kind of working from home.
Right.
And I thought that was funny, but it's true. Having kids, being a businesswoman, being a wife, you have to have a good partner, period, end of story. You have to have balance, I think, within your partnership. I think, we're not taking those gender roles. Okay, I could throw out the trash sometimes, he might throw out the trash, he might wash it, just I mean, you just don't take on those norms, those gender role norms. I just don't think that's a concept in relationship, and I think to have a balance in your relationship, that's not even something you think about.
Right.
And then at the same time with the kids, I mean, if I could sit down and sit down and have a conversation with my kids, hug them, read a story to the little one, give them a bath, have dinner with everybody, I think, I've accomplished a goal today. I could check that off my box.
Mm-hmm.
So I think balance is what you make it and what you want it to be. I don't think any of us can really fall within those norms. I don't fall within those norms. We don't fall within those norms. So, to just have dinner together, I think that's okay. That's okay. As for work is always going to be crazy no matter what. So.
Okay. So then my next question is obviously pivoting from that conversation. Let's talk about what trends are you seeing in your industry, in the financial industry, obviously, that keeps you on your toes as a compliance officer and manager.